Looks like I just muted myself. So let me do that again. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. I. For those of you, if you don't know me, my name AI. I'm the person behind Classroom Without Walls, former college professor turned career and life coach. I work with teenagers and young adults to help them reclaim their confidence, reclaim their motivation, and to really discover their ideal career path. Okay. I have been doing weekly live training since the beginning of this year. And I'm really excited to talk about this topic today, which is skills of tomorrow. And what are the skills that your kid, your teenager, young adult, children must develop in order to, we're not just talking about surviving school, but in order for them to have real life success. Okay. And if this is the first time that you catch me live, I highly recommend that you check out my previous trainings. The feedback has been amazing. Okay. So let's dive into today's topic. If you guys have specific questions that you want me to answer, please feel free to share them with me in the chat box. Okay. And also, hold on. So I'm just Okay, good. So I just want to make sure the audio is good. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, skills of tomorrow. And also, I will be mentioning, I will be talking a little bit about school closure. Okay, and this is a topic that someone on my email list has suggested and requested. So I will definitely be talking about that. Okay, skills of tomorrow. And what inspires me to share this topic with you guys today is actually a trending story. And I don't know how many of you guys actually caught the story. So let me share the story with you. And believe it or not, I do actually have a slide. Okay, really proud of myself. Come here, super prepared. Okay. And let me share my slide. Meanwhile, I want to check on my end to make sure that everything is okay. And so let me know in the chat box, are you aware of this story of this young woman, this Gen Z? Okay, so her story has gone viral on social media, and that's how I actually discovered the story. And as you can see from the title, this Gen Z job seeker, 26 years old. Hey, listen, 2 degrees, and she speaks 3 languages. Okay, this literally happened beginning of this year. No, beginning of this month. Okay, so it is highly current. And so she was crying that she had such an impressive background, 2 degrees, not just one, two, and actually speaks 3 languages. And she was knocking door to door, trying to find a minimum wage job. So that was rejection after rejection. Okay. So this is really what inspired me to come here to share with you guys what are the skills of tomorrow. Okay. And we look at the title, it's so funny, right? She said that I just want to be a TikToker. And so I'm going to highlight a few key concepts here. And I do have a few takeaways regarding this story that I want to share with you. Okay. And she said that it's honestly, so I'm looking at the second image here, a little bit embarrassing because I'm literally applying for minimum wage jobs. Okay. So first of all, like she is brave, right? Kudos to her for stepping outside her comfort zone, knocking door to door. I'm sure it is a scary feeling, but she did it. Okay. And so she said that this is not what I expected. So let me ask you guys, everyone watching the join the training or watching the replay right now, let me know in the chat box. Do you like, would you be shocked if I tell you that, hey, listen, this 26 years old, 2 degrees, multiple languages, and just cannot even find a minimum wage job? That is shocking. It's not right what one is expected, but this has almost become the norm. Okay. And she's looking for a job that pays her $16 an hour. Okay. That's really not a lot if you are in New York City. And so eventually she said in the article, I just cannot be delusional anymore. Like I literally need to make money. And so I'm just going to keep trying. Okay. And so after her video has gone viral, I don't know where I found it, in a news article, probably this one or a different news article. So I actually went to her TikTok because I myself do not really use TikTok, and I do not like TikTok at all. And I think it is a very unhealthy platform for young people. But anyway, so I went to her TikTok platform, and before her story gone viral, I think she mentioned that she has 100K or maybe 150K. I forgot. But clearly, this is a screenshot I just took today. Okay, so clearly she has really increased the number of followers she has. As you can see from her videos, 1 million. She actually pinned those videos. So this is the one featuring this article, which already gained, let me see, almost 25 million views. Okay, and so yeah, it's a really short clip. Do you guys want to watch it? Do you guys want to watch the short clip? And let me know, or you have take a screenshot of my screen. You know what, why don't we just watch it? So here, this is her TikTok channel, and those are top 3. So this is the one, 25 million. Let me play for you guys. I hope you can hear it. So that is the video, pretty vulnerable. Okay, so that is the story. I saw the story. I really inspired me to come here to share with you guys what are the skills of tomorrow, because this is not the first time that I read a story like this. And so I want to share 3 takeaway with you regarding this story of this young Gen Z crying couldn't find a job. So takeaway number 1 is, if you are in 2024, if you are a parent, if you still have this belief that a college degree itself will be sufficient to help your kid find a decent job, like a high paying, high demand, and decent job, it is now going to happen. So, takeaway number 1 is, degree itself is no longer sufficient to help our children find high paying, high demand jobs. Okay, as you can see from this case. So, I'm going to have this on the board. Okay. So degrees alone not enough. Like, I don't know how old you are. So in my generation, I'm in my mid 40s, and that's why I got so many degrees. So in my generation, and when you just have a degree, that is enough to find an okay job, right? But that is no longer the case. So that is takeaway number 1. Takeaway number 2 is, I have been doing this for 20 years. Okay. So I worked with almost 3,000 students, teenagers and young adults. And the last several years, I started to hear this a lot. What do you want to do regarding your future? I want to become a YouTuber. I want to become a TikToker. I want to become a social media influencer, which has been so glamorized. And I want to share this with you. So for this young woman, before her story has gone viral, and I think I saw the number, she had about like 100K or 150 followers, okay, which is a lot, okay, 150,000 people, that is a lot. And you heard it in that clip. She said that she couldn't be delusional anymore. So takeaway number two is that it's amazing if your kid wants to become a social media influencer, TikToker, YouTuber. It is going to take a long time in order for them to monetize that. Okay. So if someone who has 150,000 followers and they are not making money, they have to knock door to door to try to find a minimum wage job. What do you think the likelihood for your own kid if they have like 50, 100, or 0 social media followers? Okay. So second point I want to say is SM means social media. Doesn't mean income. Okay. And it's funny because today I actually had the same conversation with a few students today. They were like, yeah, regarding my future, I want to be a social media influencer, a podcaster. Those are all great passion projects, but it is unlikely that you are going to have a steady income like a real job right after graduation, unless you are someone like Mr. Beast, that you have been working on this project for so many years while you are a student. So that is a different story. Okay. So that is point number two. If you have a teenager, if you have a young adult who are telling you, hey, mom and dad, I just want to have this dream. I just need to build enough social media followers so that I will have a steady income. That is a little bit delusional. Okay. Like this young lady mentioned. Third point is relevant to this is so creator, not a consumer. So when it comes to social media, based on my observation, many young people are approaching social media as a passive consumer, and that is very problematic. So in that case, you are allowing social media, their content, their agenda, their algorithms to dictate what you think, to really influence your brain, to dictate your personal agenda. I think Elon Musk had this point that he regretted that he wasn't stricter with his own children in terms of their access to social media. And he said that social media algorithms were programming his children's brain. I was like, wow, I so agree. So if your kid has this like dream or career passion, want to be a social media influencer, and you must guide them to become a creator, not just a passive consumer. Based on my observation, that's where the problem starts, because they are just passively consuming and consuming, and that is how they become really addicted. Because why? The social media algorithms, they are designed, it's like video games, they are designed to make you become addicted. If you are not addicted, it means they didn't do a good job. Okay. So if they did a good job, your children want to spend hours longer time consuming. So you must guide your kid, help them identify their passions and become a creator, talking about their personal stories, storytelling and story selling, and share their story. And this young lady I shared with you earlier, eventually, because her story has gone viral, that's how I discovered, and she eventually did find a job. And I really hope that she can actually keep the job. And I really appreciate her for being so vulnerable, like putting herself out there. And that is another thing, that if your kid wants to pursue this path, even if they don't want to pursue this path, you see how important it is that they actually build their digital footprint. It's one thing that you have a resume. It is another thing that you actually have a strong digital online presence. Okay. Because why? Before they hire you, they will actually Google you. if Google cannot find you or your kid, it is also a red flag. Okay. I myself have talked to so many recruiters, they actually do search you before they decide should we hire or interview this kid or not. Okay, so that is the story that really inspired me. Like I was shocked and now so shocked when I read her story. And this also inspires me because I asked my email list and I said, hey guys, I'm going to talk about this. Is there something that you want to talk about? And this woman, I thank you so much if you are watching this and she wants to learn more about school closure. Okay, so it's also relevant when you look at stories like this. When someone, if you have a kid, if you have invested in thousands of dollars in your children's education, you know what, guys, let me find this for you. The average cost of college tuition in the United States, I think it is it is actually not cheap. Okay, so this is what I have been using from Education Data Initiative. And so pay attention, this is pretty recent, okay, November last year, so only a few months ago. And fact check, okay? So when you look at this, just look at the last point, like considering student loan interest and blah, 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 the ultimate cost of like undergraduate degree can exceed $500,000. $500,000. Okay, can you guys even comprehend this? $500,000. Let's not even talk about $500,000. $250,000. Okay, half of that. So can you imagine investing in $250,000 or $500,000 in your own children's education? They have a few degrees, they have a few majors, and you know they are so good. They even speak a few languages, only to discover that they cannot even find a minimum wage job. If that happened to your kid, how will that affect your faith and your confidence in this piece of paper? Not much, right? So that leads to what I want to talk about next, which is school closure. Okay, so I do have some data I want to share with you. Again, I worked in education for so many years, and when I share something with you, I always want to share with you specific data. It's not me making things up. I'm like someone, like, sometimes I get haters. They say that, oh, you're just like such a sad person. No, like decision making by data, not by drama. So I'm going to share some data with you to really help you see the bigger picture. And then I will end today's live training by talking about, okay, so in the beginning, we learned this young woman, so like very impressive education background, couldn't find a job until she came to TikTok, cried a little bit like drama there. And now she has a job. I really hope she can keep that job. And now we're talking about the school closure. So I really want to paint a big picture for you. And then I'm going to end today's live training by telling you what are the skills that your kid must start developing. Those are also the skills that I intentionally help my students. And at my company, I help them develop those skills. And by the way, I do want to say that if anything that I mentioned here is interesting, and if you want to reach out to me, hey, Dr. I love everything you mentioned. So on the screen, there's a link for you to book a free, completely free, no pressure whatsoever, and career and life assessment with me on the call. Okay, so the link is on the screen. So let's go back to here, talking about school closure. Again, decision making by data. Okay, this was quite a few years ago. 2018, there was an education futurist at Harvard University. Okay, so he made a big claim, and he said that half of American colleges will go bankrupt in 10 to 15 years. Okay, so he made a prediction around 2018 or 17, something like that. But at that time, there was no COVID. Okay, so COVID only accelerated how fast schools are actually closing in the United States. Okay, I actually did a reaction video to this news when it came out, and so I mentioned several points why. Like, if you are interested in watching that video, and please let me know, because I did explain a few reasons why this is happening. Okay, so this is a more recent report by CNBC why more and more colleges are closing across the United States. Again, I'm sharing some specific data points with you. Okay, and so since 2016, almost 100 U.S. private colleges have closed, merged with another school, or announced the plan to close. Okay, so almost 100 schools, and that is only like a few years ago. Okay, and almost 100 have closed. So really think about it. If a school is just like gone, like closed, what's going to happen to the students who are actually pursuing a degree at that school, or who actually have already received their degrees from that school? And how will the school's closure affect the value of that piece of paper? Okay, so really think about those questions. This is another case that I followed really closely last year in summer, August 2023, when this came out, because I myself, I'm based in Washington, D.C. So Virginia is kind of in the neighborhood. And so the school just mentioned they just like eliminated 32 majors because enrollment has been decreasing over the last several years, like steady decline in terms of their enrollment. And so and not only that, they also laid off like I think almost 200 college professors, like full-time staff. They lost their jobs, but really sad. Like students, they just like their school is gone, their major is gone. They're just like, what am I going to do? So as a result, some of the students had to finish their majors from a different school. It is a really complicated situation. Okay, but you can see the bigger picture, right? So here is another article, The Incredible Shrinking Future of Education, right? The enrollment cliff, which I have been sharing with you. So talking about reasons, okay, so I want to stop this so you can actually see my face better. So I kind of painted the big picture for you. Why so many, like not why, but to really show you, it is a fact that so many schools are just like going bankrupt. Okay, so that is a fact. There are so many reasons led to this, and I don't have time in this training to discuss all of the reasons. So I will mention one really important reason, which is also relevant to the opening story that I shared today. Okay, I hope that is okay with you. And if you are interested in learning more about the other reasons that caused schools to close, I highly recommend you check out another free training I did. In that free training, I did talk a lot more about this topic. So if you just go to classroomwithoutwallstraining.com, you will be able to watch my free master class. Okay. But in today's live training, I'm only going to mention one reason. Okay. Why so many schools are closing. So the one reason is because the reason that so many schools are closing is, on the surface level, it is because we have fewer and fewer students who want to go to college to finish a four-year degree. But what is the deeper reason behind that? So one of the deeper reason is the lack of work readiness among college graduates. Okay. Maybe I can have this. I hope you can still, yeah, you can still see it. So, lack of work readiness. Okay, so again, I'm going to share decision making by data, not drama. So I'm going to share some specific studies with you. Okay, so if you are interested in reading some of the articles that I'm about to share with you, please feel free to leave a comment or send me an email, send me a DM, and I will get back to you with some of the links. Okay, but this is a big reason. So think about it. I shared with you earlier. In the United States, a four-year degree is almost costing parents, not almost, like $500,000. That is a lot of money. So if investing in that much money in our children's education is not going to give us any return on investment, people are not going to be interested in investing in that much money in their children's education, right? Because the lack of work readiness among college graduates. So in other words, I send my kid to the school hoping that the school will help my kid find a good job. So in this woman's case, in the beginning, she has a few degrees, a few languages, and she couldn't find a decent job. If that is the case, they are not work ready after 2 degrees, after 4 years in college. Why do I even bother to send my kid to school? Like, that is what a normal person would think, right? So let me share some data points with you. Okay. So again, this is according to Harvard Business Review. The U.S. education system is not giving our students what companies, employers are actually looking for. So again, this lack of work readiness among college graduates. If school is now giving my kids those skills, and I will share with you later what are the skills, but if my kid is not developing those skills while I'm spending $500,000, send my kid to college, right? So this is a recent article published in the Wall Street Journal. I think this came out in January this year. Okay. And I was really inspired by this article, and I actually did a LinkedIn post. So let me share my LinkedIn post with you, and let me make this a little bit bigger. I hope you guys can see this article. Okay. Oh, okay, here. And the class of traditional schooling. And so I'm going to share here. So the same article, right? So why published in the Wall Street Journal, why Americans have lost faith in the value of college. Okay. So I want to read this, college for all, that idea is now collapsing. Okay. So pay attention to what I underscored for you. In the face of massive student debt, blah, blah, blah. And this is what I want to pay attention. Underemployed uh, degree holders. Okay. And I myself have worked with so many degree holders, not just one degree, but a few degree holders, but they don't have a job. So if that is the case, if after 4-year college, my kid is still not work ready, why do I want to send my kid to school? If I don't send my kid to school, that's why we have school closure. That's why we have fewer and fewer students attending college. So for school, their major revenue comes from students' tuition. When they have fewer and fewer students, they make less and less money, and then eventually going bankrupt, right? And so you can see another thing I want to highlight for you is that the system don't want to change. Okay, here, guys, this is so sad, but it is so true. This breaks my heart when I say this, and teaching is an afterthought. Okay, I myself, and I was in the system for so many years, and I will tell you, research is what most higher education institutions really care about, and teaching is definitely an afterthought. So if they don't really care, if they do not prioritize teaching, do you think they will invest in the time, resources, money to really improve the quality of teaching? Unlikely. So if they don't really improve that, who is going to suffer? Your children, my children, right? And so the last thing I want you to highlight for here. So they did a survey out of 100 random freshmen enrolling in college today. 40 will not graduate. Okay, guys? That is almost 50%. And then the people who did graduate, and many of them will actually graduate in 6 years. Think about the time. Time is money. And 20 of them will end up having no job. So again, this is what we're talking about, lack of work readiness. Okay, so that is definitely a reason. And this is an article published again in Forbes, importance of college dropped for almost 50%. And Brandon Bastid, if you have not yet followed him, I highly recommend. So in this article, I actually interviewed Brandon on my podcast. If you want to check out that episode, send me a message. And so in this article mentioned 3 reasons that students are no longer interested in going to school. And one of the reasons is, again, this lack of work readiness among college graduates. And pay attention to what I highlighted for you. Very strong language here, right? Hardly anyone believes college graduates are well prepared for success in the workplace. And look at how low the percentages are, right? Only 13% of US adults, 11% of C-level executives, and 6% of college trustees. Those are the people who are actually running the school. Only such a small percentage of senior leaders actually are giving strong approvals to the work readiness of college graduates. In other words, most people do not believe that college graduates are work ready. So imagine, so remember the story I shared with you regarding this Gen Z. 3 languages, 2 degrees. Isn't that a perfect case to illustrate this point? Impressive educational background, not work ready. I mean, she's lucky. At least she has the courage to come out of her shell, to advocate for herself, to be on social media. She actually has a social media following. So imagine what will happen to your children when they only have that piece of paper. Maybe they're even struggling at school. They may not even have that piece of paper, or they are earning C's and B's, not doing really well, not having that piece of paper. Imagine what will happen to your kid, right? When they only have that piece of paper, don't have anything else. How is their future going to look like? Those are some questions that you must start to think about. I'm a mom. I have 3 kids. And one thing I have decided is that I am not going to outsource my own children's education to a random institution. I do not trust them. And again, you have the specific data here, and I want to encourage you to do the same. And so here's another article. The same thing, SHRM, Society for Human Resources Management, talking about, like students are not learning. And based on their surveys and studies, companies are saying that college graduates, they are not learning soft skills. They're also not learning hard skills. Again, this lack of work readiness. Again, if college graduates are not work ready, why do they go to school? Spending $500,000 to graduate from a school with a piece of paper only to discover they are not ready for work. If that is the case, I'm not going to send my kids to school. If that is the case, fewer and fewer students at school, less revenue for the university, and they are eventually going to go bankrupt. So I hope you are seeing the connection why we have this school closure. So one of the reasons is this lack of work readiness. Okay, so again, you can check out my master class for any additional reasons. So, but I hope this is actually making sense. And high disconnect, yeah, exactly, yeah. And thank you so much. And Alex, I don't know if you saw what I mentioned in the beginning. This young woman and 2 degrees and 3 languages. I only speak 2. She has 3 languages, 2 degrees. That's really my case. I have 2 degrees. I speak only 2 languages, and I don't even have hundreds of social media followers. And she couldn't even find a minimum wage job. So there's really that huge disconnect. Okay, so that is someone asked me to talk about. So I hope I answered that question regarding school closure. Okay, so now let's talk about skills of tomorrow. Okay, so in the beginning, I shared with you this Gen Z crying tears on her face, couldn't find a job with a very impressive background. Then we talk about school closure. why so many schools are closing, because of, this is my reasoning, okay, the lack of work readiness of college graduates. And now let's talk about what can we do about this, right? So what are the skills that if college graduates are not work ready, it means that they're missing certain specific hard skills and soft skills. So what are the skills that are missing? And as educators and parents at home, what can you do at home to really help your students, to really help your children develop those skills so that they can succeed beyond academic, beyond their school environment? They can actually succeed in real life. Okay, so I will be sharing with you a few reports and studies. Again, I love decision making by data, not drama. And if you are interested in any of the reports I'm going to share with you, let me know and I'm going to send the link to you. Okay, so please let me share my screen again. Yes, so check out my masterclass, okay? Shameless plug, okay? So skills of tomorrow, and they came out last year in summer, and I don't know how many of you actually reviewed this future of jobs report. It's a pretty good, like I think 100 pages. So I'm going to share this section with you, which is relevant to our discussion today. Okay, what? Hold on. It was working. Okay, here. Okay. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So this is the same thing. Okay. This is Skills of Tomorrow by World Economic Forum. Okay. Came out May last year, what I shared with you before. So I'm just going to go to page 38. There is a specific section that talks about a core skills of tomorrow, which is relevant to our discussion. But I think you should download this entire report and review it and to really educate yourself. Okay, core skills in 2023. I mean, we're only 2024. I mean, this is the latest, so I think it is still highly relevant. Okay, and here are the core skills, which are divided into 8 different categories. Okay, let me make this a bit bigger. And so here are the 8 categories here: cognitive skills, engagement, ethics. And ethics makes so much sense, right? Why? Because there's AI. I think the more we use AI, the stronger we have a demand for ethical thinking, ethical decision making, because, almost you can fake anything, everything. So I'm not surprised at all to see ethics, management skills, physical ability, self-efficacy, technology skills, working with others. So those are the 8 categories. And I will share with you, if you have a teenager and young adult, of course, this is kind of a lifelong journey, okay? They probably are not going to have all of the skills. And I will highlight a few of the core skills that I think are really relevant based on my work with so many students that can really help them build a solid foundation for future success. So those are the skills. Okay. I absolutely agree. Like number one, analytical thinking. We are in this information age, and there's no longer a shortage of information, right? That's why I'm not a big fan of traditional schooling to ask our students to memorize information. I'm definitely not a fan of that. Okay, so for my own children, and when they do homework, I tell them, if you have so many things to do at the same time, and prioritize the homework that actually requires creation, critical thinking, analytical thinking, and do not worry so much on the assignments that is purely memorization based, because I don't think that is a super relevant skill. Okay, that's my personal opinion. Okay, so analytical thinking skills, creative thinking skills, this again, if you have been following me for some time, and I really think this is something that our current education system is not doing a good job. The current education system is so rigid, and creativity is definitely lost, especially in terms of how we are evaluating our students. So think about at home, what can you do to really help your children nurture their curiosity, asking questions, and creativity. Okay, so here are a few skills that I work very hard with my own students in my coaching program to really help them develop. Those are also the skills that are significantly lacking in today's young people. And those skills are resilience, flexibility, and I'm definitely seeing that. Like in this generation, they have so little resilience. They have never failed that much. So little bit something can totally destroy them. So number three, it is such an important skill, and it is also something that young people do not have. Okay. And number four, so in my company, I actually help my students reclaim their motivation. And I'm seeing this as a big challenge and self-awareness. Okay. So let me talk about motivation. So most parents come to me because their children have no motivation. And I'm seeing more and more young people really struggle with this, a lack of motivation. And one reason is there's social media, there's YouTube, there's video games. Everything is so stimulating, so exciting. They just have less and less motivation to do schoolwork, to do things that they are not really interested in doing, but are necessary to move forward in life. So number four, it is really relevant and also lacking in today's young people. And also, I want to talk about self-awareness for a little bit. Okay. So in my program, when a student join my coaching program, the very first step is self-discovery. And this is so missing. When you think about it, many young people do not have motivation. So why they don't have motivation? Because they have no awareness, they have no clarity regarding who they are and where they want to go in life. So a lack of motivation is really a lack of clarity, a lack of self-awareness, a lack of future awareness. And oftentimes, as soon as I help those kids discover, gain clarity on who they are and gain clarity on where they are going, motivation is very likely to be reclaimed. But this is the problem, right? When you look at the current education curriculum, everything is an outside in approach, right? Take this class, do this, do that. Everything is throwing at our students, at our children. There's very little effort from the inside out. So in other words, our young people have so little say in terms of how they want to learn, what they want to learn. Like they don't have much autonomy. So, but to build that self-awareness, it is an inside-out approach. And that's why, number three, number four, I see as really, really missing. Okay, I think I'm running out of time here. I don't have time to dive into each of them, but I will just tell you 3, 4, and 5. Those are really, really important skills of tomorrow. And those are also what I'm seeing very missing in our students today. And those are 3, 4, 5 is a big part of my curriculum, what I help today's young people develop. Okay. I'm not saying that others are not important, but 3, 4, and 5, they're really the foundation to career readiness, life readiness, and real life success. If you don't have that, very hard to have like a successful life. When you think about this young woman I was talking about earlier, right? If I can go back to my slide. And so this young woman, she is so brave. She's so motivated. She's so resilient. That's why she can actually eventually find a job through social media because she has all the soft skills that I highlighted here, right? Does she have resilience? 100%. Is she flexible? Yes. Does she have self? She has all of those things, and she's a lifelong learner. She figured out TikTok, right? So it's not almost, when you think about her story, it's not her degrees that actually got her the job. It is 3, 4, 5, those skills that actually got her the job. So those, I truly believe, if you have a teenager, if you have a young adult, Those 3, 4, and 5 are skills of tomorrow that you must make an effort to help your kid develop right now. If you don't know how to do it, you don't have to work with me, but you must make a priority to help your kid develop those skills. Just remember this woman's story, okay? So that is number one. So I hope you took a screenshot of that. That is from World Economic Forum, Skills of Tomorrow, okay? And the second one I want to share with you is Coursera. So this actually came out, I think earlier this year, Job Skills of 2024. And so feel free to take a screenshot. And I also highlighted here, they also in this report, they highlighted number of trends. So pay attention to trend number 8, right? So what you see is that like so many companies, they have abandoned the traditional degree requirement. And what I'm seeing is that more and more companies are actually requesting professional certifications and specializations. I think for your kid, and probably safe to still have that piece of paper. But on top of that, you must make an effort to really help your kid earn additional certificates, specialization, so that they are fully prepared. Remember, point number 1, a degree, a piece of paper alone is no longer sufficient. Okay. And here are the skills of tomorrow according to Coursera. Okay. And so talking about certifications, this is something I've been talking about a lot. So this came out during the pandemic year. Google, they have their own plan to disrupt the college degree, right? And Mr. Walker is the senior VP at Global Affairs at Google. And he mentioned that in their own hiring, they will treat those career certificates as the equivalent of a 4-year degree. Okay. I think to be safe, and based on my research, some of them still require a traditional 4-year degree. I think to be safe, you probably still need that piece of paper. But on top of that, knowing that, what I mentioned earlier, just having that piece of paper is no longer sufficient. You are safer to have some additional certifications. Okay. And I think the salary is pretty good. Okay. 93K, 60, like it's good. Okay. And just to put things into context, and just remember the salary without a college degree, if you are a certification, if you work at Google, this is pretty much how much you're going to make. So I want to share with you, according to this CNBC article, came out 2022, the best and worst paying college majors 5 years after graduation. Look at this. That is almost like half of what I shared with you earlier. You earn a certification, you work at Google, like how much you're going to be paid. And this is like 30K. And I don't mind sharing this with you. So this is how much I was making as a college professor when I just started my job. I was actually shocked. I was like, really? That's how much I got paid? Oh, yeah. So this is after me earning a master degree from Syracuse, earning a PhD from University of Maryland, and that was my starting salary. Okay, so I painted the picture for you. Okay, I will end today's live training by saying this. And so this is where I think is the missing link. So if you ask me why college graduates are not work ready, this is why. When you look at again, it's not the fault. It's not our teacher's fault. 100% not. It is the system. Okay. So when you look at this learning model from the lowest level of learning to the highest level of learning, that's why I also made a point. The highest level of learning is to create, it's creation. That's why this young woman, Gen Z, crying, couldn't find a job. The reason that she was able to eventually find a job because her story has gone viral on TikTok, and like different news stations interviewing her was because she is actually creating original content. She's being brave. She's being vulnerable. If your kid doesn't have any of those soft skills, you should be as concerned as your kid doesn't really do well at school. To me, both are equally important. And the lack of soft skills is even more concerning to me, if you ask me. Okay. And so the lowest level of learning is remember. I think that's why we have this big gap, because students spend hours, teachers spend hours trying to teach to the test. Okay, I actually have something I'll share with you. 2024, we're still teaching to the test. Okay, so they spend such a long time learning, memorizing. Look at the definition, recalling facts, basic concept, definition, duplication, list memorization. Guess who is doing that? ChatGPT, AI, they're doing that. There's not much need for our kids to memorize everything, but there is such a greater need for our children to be the creator, to have creativity, critical thinking, analytical thinking, higher level, not lower level. The more our school focuses on this, the lower level, the bigger the gap, the more the college students that we're going to have who are not going to be work ready. Okay. So, and I will just share this with you. Again, this is something I posted on LinkedIn. And let me see if I can find this. Okay, here. Oh, here, this, like this is a perfect example. Okay. So I posted this 2 weeks ago. Okay, guys. And this is someone who left a comment on my Facebook advertising. Okay. True story. So 2 weeks ago, I think this was a dad. And so he and I were having a conversation about conversation. Okay. And he said that I couldn't agree more. My middle school daughter just told me yesterday a student asked a question in class, and the teacher said she wasn't going to answer the question because that information will not be on the state test. Guys, 2024, we're still teaching to the test. Again, I'm not criticizing teachers. They have things they have to fulfill. This is a reflection of the system. Okay. That's why we have so many college graduates who are not work ready, because we are focusing on the wrong things. Okay. So with that, I'm going to end today's training here. And if you are interested, if your kid is struggling with school, if you are interested in helping your children really be empowered with those essential life skills that can help them reclaim their confidence, reclaim their motivation, and figure out their ideal career path, book a free one-on-one strategy call with me using the link on the screen. And you and I will just have a conversation. I'll be listening to your children's situations and give you some recommendations. And free of charge. There's absolutely no pressure. And if you like me and if there's a good fit, we will work together. If not, really, you gain some free advice. Okay. So to summarize, today we talked about skills of tomorrow. We had an opening case study, which is a young Gen Z, and she was crying tears, 2 degrees, 3 languages, pretty impressive academic background, couldn't find a job. Okay. We're not even talking about a 6-figure job. Couldn't find a minimum wage job. Okay. So that's how we started the conversation. From there, we talked about school closure. So many schools, I think the number was 100. Schools have already closed. Okay. And from there, we talk about why so many schools are closed, because we have fewer and fewer students going to a traditional 4-year college. Why is that? The reason is, I only discussed one reason today, which is the lack of work readiness of college graduates. Okay. So from there, we talked about, okay, if school is not helping our children to become work ready, what can we do about it? What are the skills that will help my kid be work ready? And I shared with you quite a few different reports talking about skills of tomorrow. And I really want you to remember, like, resilience, confidence, motivation, self-awareness, future awareness. Those are some of the most important skills that will build a solid foundation for your children to have real life success. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed today's training. If you have requests for things that you want me to talk about in the future, let me know in the comment section or send me a message. If not, I will see you next Thursday, same time, same location. Thank you so much for joining me live or watch the replay. Bye.